broken.
So, are you ready to
do
stuff or no?
You talked to me. We talked a little bit about this while I was making dinner, actually. Like,
And
we
then
were
when
hanging
I
out,
figured out what the problem was,
making dinner.
so that I can kind of point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I really want you to try to figure this out on your own a little bit.
You changed something, though.
I did only change one thing. The only thing I changed is I made it so that so inside of make asteroid, what it was doing is that this viewport to world point is based off of the camera.
Right.
And because of that, I think it might even be up. Hold on a second. Is this? No, there's nothing like that. So it's based off the camera, and because the camera's at -10, your asteroids were appearing at -10.
Okay, because they were appearing at the same Z as the camera. Okay.
And thusly, we're not rendering on the camera. So.
Step 2, surpass John Carmack in programming ability.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are going to do that anytime soon. Not
going to happen.
Right. So.
He's pretty smart. All right, so you changed poop.z to = 0. That makes complete sense. And then you return poop. Oh.
This one too, because you do the same thing here. So all I did was put those to 0 so that they come.
So basically, anytime you're getting, oh, Star, what are you doing?
She's attacking you.
A little bit. She's kind of like saying, hey, you're not paying enough attention to me.
So yeah, those go to 0.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I changed.
That has been changed.
So now your asteroids come in same way they did before. So say, but.
Surpassing his son. Oh. Whoa. Whoa, I see him. Whoa. Was that it? No, they're all still weird.
Yeah, but they come onto the screen now because they're not at the.
They're not too high up now, right? They're not basically.
The reason these are moving around like that is because they smash into each other.
That's cool. I want them to spin like that. I want spinning to happen.
That's a later step.
Okay.
So the first thing here is that to understand what the problem is, because what we're seeing is they come in from the outside.
And they're flickering. So that's actually, there's only 2, but they look like 4.
And then they come here and they kind of stop.
Yeah.
Right?
We noticed that.
Totally weird.
Except the ones that collided seem to be coming through.
Well, yeah, because they hit each other and
the other ones,
forces come off each other.
So they're running out of force.
So
what? So
don't worry about what the problem is just yet. I'm going to give you a key to solving this because it actually is very, it's something.
It might be a cat claw. Sometimes the little casings come off.
It is a deceptive thing. What is occurring looks like one thing and it's not another. So okay, like just first off.
Because my first thought, seeing that happening, is that there's something wrong with the teleport code.
But okay, so watch this. If we run this, you can see it creates these asteroids.
Phone.
And then you can click on them, and you can see that they are not moving, barely at all.
Oh, what? Why aren't they moving?
They will almost never. It'll be like an hour before they appear on the screen. So.
That's bizarre.
So okay, there's one piece of the puzzle. The other thing that I want to show you is that your let's go back to here. Draw partner. This is what
bullets
is on your bullets. This is wrong.
You had me do that though.
Yes. And I make mistakes.
Oh no. Okay.
So this is wrong.
Fine. Okay. Something about it is wrong.
Yeah.
And it's something that I wouldn't know about in order to fix. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Let's do
Probably pull that all the way up so,
I'm getting there.
So we can see it. Okay.
Okay. So you copied pretty much this.
Yeah.
The difference here is that this is inside of fixed update.
Oh, and we're not using fixed update.
No, you're using start. So this runs once, fixed update runs all the time.
We're only giving it force one time.
We're also putting, to compensate for that, 400
hell of a lot of force.
ridiculous amount.
So you're saying if we,
So,
but there's no drag, so there shouldn't be
but
a
that's-
slowdown. It should
it's
be
not a
acting
lot of
as if
force.
it's in a vacuum in space.
you're not putting hardly any force on it. But the thing is
Okay.
that for that, you should be, there's a different, this is the default one, because you're not assigning a force mode.
Continuous force to rigid body.
Right, but since you're not continuously adding it,
Oh, the impulse is the other one that we use for that
Instant
other
force.
thing. Is that the one that?
yes.
Oh.
So go ahead and change your bullets to use an impulse instead. I also highly recommend dropping that 400 down. Maybe back to 10.
Let's go to 40 and see what happens there.
And switch the force mode.
So it's add relative force vector up. Wait, where is it? Rigid body. So it should be instead of, whoa, what's the wrong thing? Instead of add relative force, it's just add force dot impulse. Why is that pink? What did I do wrong? Okay. Oh, maybe it's not capitalized.
Nope. No. That's not a thing.
That's what it said in the Unity. It said add force. Rigid body dot add force.
How to apply force using rigid body dot add force. You're not using add force. You are using.
Oh, add relative force. Okay.
But that's not okay. So, but there's no dot this. So hold on a second. So what you want? Go into here. You want impulse. There's no fucking explanation. You're using add relative force. So you were
Okay.
using that before. That's what you need. Add force doesn't give you relative motion. This is what you want. Use this kind of method to get it out there.
Okie dokie. I'm learning, guys. Figuring this out. So that was wrong. I just undo this a couple times. Add relative force. And it's the vector times 10. I guess that's the vector force. Okay, star. Okay, kitten. Whoa. You want to get down? Here. Get down. Please. Please get down. You don't want to get down. You just want the stool all to yourself. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. I'll stand. Cool with that. Okay. Force. Force mode. Force mode dot impulse. Do I actually need to say force mode equals in there?
That was good. Did you save it and try it?
No, not yet. That's just for the bullets, though, right?
Compile?
Seems to.
Yeah, give it a go.
I
You have to shoot bullets.
know. For some reason, there's part of my brain that's like, this is a program,
Shoot a
therefore
bullet.
it will take time for it to do things. Well, it's certainly moving that block more than it used to. And they're also going really fast.
Well, that's because 40 is really ridiculously high. And 400 was stupid.
This is kind of cool, though. Going so fast that they're not rendering, like... Oh my gosh, I just smashed myself off the screen. Okay, interesting. So I don't see any behavioral difference aside from the fact that suddenly it's going way faster. But
That's the trouble. That's the problem.
Yeah, it seems it's behaving.
So the reason the other thing is having problems is because of that. So use that information and fix it. But don't just change things randomly. Understand why it's broken.
Yes, sir. I don't understand how this actually changes much, though, so I don't know how I'm going to understand why it's broken.
You totally do. Think about what is going on here.
I don't understand. Okay.
Think about it
Okay, hold on.
for a second.
You're saying that
It's a different type of force being added to it, different force
just
mode.
relative force undefined
Mm-hmm.
does one type of
Push, which is
push.
almost nothing push, because it's happening every update. In fact, if you look into those, you can understand that like the amount of times that it happens to it matters, because it's physics frame rate independent. You'd have to read up on why, but know that that's the problem.
Alright, so then in here, this is where I'm adding the motion. So wait,
there's two problems I noticed here. There's actually
what the heck is this?
two problems. That's code you wrote.
I know. Thanks. I know it's code I wrote. Game object asteroid alive instantiate. Large asteroid. Asteroid position transform rotation as game object. Asteroid position is all this crazy stuff, all this poop, which is what defines the camera space, and then it's like, oh, if it's within here, we make sure it's outside the screen on this way, otherwise just randomly whatever. It's on 0. Transform rotation, does that even need to be?
What are you doing?
I'm looking at my code and trying to figure out what I'm doing. Okay, sure, that's fine. Rigid body, add relative force. Right now, the what do is just a vector. That's just a place. So then it goes after that. I define the force times 10F. Because there's no force defined inside of this. Hi, Star. What are you doing, kitten? Just being super cute. Calvin.
Yeah.
I don't. I need a vector 3 force in this first spot, and I have a what do.
Okay.
I know that a what do is a vector 3, but it's not a force. How do I make it a force?
Why do you think that you need force? What is a force?
That's what I'm saying. I'm reading a thing, Calvin. This says here. Star, what are you doing? She's trying to eat me. Vector 3 force.
So, what does that look like? And what do you think force means in that sentence? What is that context? Okay. Vector 3 is the type, and force is the variable name for the function. This is, see how it says void, add relative force, like you're starting to write a function? This function exists somewhere in Unity's code, and you are calling it. Inside of Unity's code, its variable name, look at what do. Look at what do. See? What do? You have a vector 3 called here I am.
Yeah.
It's a function that you wrote.
Well, what does that have to
do? This is a function Unity wrote.
Why
that has
name them? It's so confusing.
They have to name them. It's a function.
Can't they just say here, this is what you put in these spots,
It
and then you name it yourself?
It's letting you know that this vector 3 is a force.
Okay. All right. and we're timesing that vector 3 by a number for
Yeah.
some unknown reason.
That's not an unknown reason.
Well, it's not a force, it's a vector.
When you multiply a vector by a number, you are multiplying that vector by a number. So you're taking whatever direction the vector is, that x, y, and z, x times 10, y times 10, z times 10. A new vector will each of those multiply.
Okay, I see. All
So
right, I understand that.
if you wanted to cut that vector in half,
all right, so this is where I put the force mode. And this should also be impulse. Is that it? So is that safe? I'm gonna try this. See if that was it.
there's something else wrong there, but this will work.
It's still. Where are they? I don't see them. Oh, there they are. They blink a little bit. Ooh.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. I don't want them to squish into each other like that, I think. Because that's going to cause traffic jams, right? Oh, man, this is way more complicated. I'm like, oh, make asteroids. It's an old game. It's probably simple. Past me was basically saying, screw you, future me. You're too dumb to know what you're doing yourself.
Okay, so there's something else wrong with that, but you won't find out what it is until you randomize the rotation.
Because we're setting transform rotation and there isn't one. I was looking at this and I thought that was weird that was here at all, actually.
Because you're setting transform rotation and there isn't one. What are you talking
Well,
about?
like you're setting a transform rotation, but it's not a transform rotation for the asteroid. It's a transform rotation of the freaking spot in the middle of the screen, wherever it is.
This is all perfectly
right?
fine. That's all perfectly
Oh,
fine.
okay.
The thing is that you're setting it to the same rotation that that one is. If you, here, actually, this will clearly make this all obvious. Take this, and that's the spawn asteroid, and we rotate it, and cruise around, you'll find that there's a massive problem with this. I'm sure it'll work perfectly just for me.
They don't look rotated at all, actually. Shouldn't they be rotated?
Okay, okay. Let me do it differently. I put it at 90.
Hi, Zach.
45, so you can see that they're rotated.
We're learning. Oh, because they're...
See how they're not
what?
rotated? But they are.
They're... Why are they... They're not rotated on the right axis. They're rotated diagonally.
Well, this doesn't even do rotation
like,
that way.
whatever it's called.
It's because of the 2D thing, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But we don't want to rotate.
Z. That's what we want to do. I forget which thing I used to. What is this doing? Performance development sucks so much.
All right.
See?
Okay.
Now, this will work if you zoom out and are looking at it in the inspector. But if we take this scene away and we put it here, we can have some. Making asteroids.
Right.
Making asteroids. They should be here any second, right?
I think we spawned them a little too far.
Well, there's one. That one was lucky.
What? No,
there's a second
another
lucky one. You got two lucky ones.
Why are they coming in so slowly?
It's why aren't more of them coming in at all?
Why are there only 2 instead of the 4? Is that what I need to figure out? You know what's wrong, though?
I totally know what's wrong.
Um,
But you'd only see it if you started rotating the asteroids. And you're going to want to put in a random rotation on the asteroids, right?
Why would rotating the asteroids make them not come into the screen? What?
It's your fault. You made it that way. That's the first rule of writing code. Everything's your fault. Except for when you're using external libraries and they screw up the libraries, then it's your fault for using that library.
Okay.
But it's kind of their fault for making
All right, so inside the asteroid. Inside make asteroid, I should say. Okay, so okay, I have no idea what that means. Why? Okay, so why did you hide the scene? Is that, does it not happen if I don't hide the scene?
Um, because the thing that is pushing, if you're looking at the scene, what's pushing the asteroids toward the center is not your force that you're applying to it.
Huh. What?
It is your warping that's pushing them towards the center.
They're not actually moving? But it's in update. The force mode is impulse.
What are you talking about?
Oh wait, hold on. Well, I need to actually look at the asteroid code itself, I bet. Force mode is impulse.
That's on collision engine.
If
This
there's
is a totally different thing. You're not in here at all.
This isn't where I need to look?
Look at this. What is that? What does this do? Do you know what this is?
Well, one thing's for certain, the asteroids aren't propelling themselves.
But what does that code that you're looking at right now do?
This is the asteroid body code. All it does right now is deal with being shot.
Okay, so is that anything to do with what we're talking about right now?
No.
Okay.
But if the asteroids need to propel themselves, shouldn't that be something that happens inside of the asteroid's code?
Where are you propelling the asteroid for the first time?
You're saying that they're not even getting, but they should be getting propulsion initially from the make asteroid code.
Yep,
Right here.
Yep, they are.
So then can't I just be like, keep going?
They are going.
Oh.
They are keeping going
Okay.
in the wrong direction. Try to figure it out. Try to figure it out.
Okay.
I told you, I've given you like
No,
the biggest hint.
this is good. I will stare at this. Part of my problem is I'm not very familiar with any of this. All right, I've got these random ranges. They can spawn in one direction or the other. One of the things that's not good is that one of the most confusing things to me is the way that you told me to make it move in the first place.
What is confusing about how I told you to make it move?
The whole, there's like a spot on the screen and it's somewhere and then you reverse it and normalize it. That whole thing, I don't understand what that really does.
You don't understand this stuff?
I see that it returns a normalized thing, which is going to be a spot on the screen.
Do you want to step through all that math?
Okay, I get some of it. I definitely get some of it. I mean, I understand that the X and the Y of the screen space and stuff like that, but the...
You understand that I get a random position on the screen.
Right, I get that this is getting a random position on the screen. I get that this is taking that position and turning it from...
No, that's getting the random position on the screen from screen space. Yeah,
right. It's from the screen space.
The only line you don't understand is this one down here.
Here I am equals the screen space minus here I am. That is confusing. And the normalizing thing is also something I'm not really familiar enough with. I get that it returns a 1 or something. It turns whatever it is that it's assigned to 1. That's what I got out of normalize. I'm going to look it up again, though, because that was really confusing.
Oh, you know what? We're going to do it here. This is easy. Okay. Okay, so hold on. Don't worry about normalizing it.
Okay.
That's going to confuse you. We're going to go through this so that you understand it.
Okie dokie. Help me learn. I imagine I'm not the only person that's totally befuddled by all this stuff.
Get a sphere. Okay. We're going to place this sphere randomly on the screen at -7, 5. Random.
Okay.
Okay. And then we're going to take, this is where we want the asteroid to go. We're going to take and say that the asteroid is down here.
Okay.
It's at 814. -14. Okay.
Okay. I see the 2 dots.
All right. Now, if we want this to move towards that direction, what we do is we take and we subtract these 2 vectors. We're subtracting the
8, 14.
target from the other position. So 8 minus, no, target from, sorry, I'm getting confused. It's target minus, because which way direction you do subtract, not like addition and multiplication. No, subtraction matters. So we're taking the screen space one, the target, -7, and subtracting -7 from 8.
Okay.
What's that? So -7 minus 8 equals,
-7 minus a positive number should be more of a negative number, right? That's
so I use computers because I don't like trying to figure out how to do math in my head. And that's what we're going to do.
you do assign a negative.
-7 minus 8 equals -15.
Yeah. Okay.
That's our x, and our y is, I'm going to start with this one, 5 minus -14.
Okay, so it's going to be a -19. Or no, positive 19. Right.
So, yeah, 19. So we've got -15, 19. All right. Let's get that here. New one, please. Okay. This is a direction from 0.
Right.
0, 0, 0. This direction here is exactly the direction that this needs to go to travel to that. So okay, wait, just ready. So then what we do is we take that and we normalize it.
What does normalizing do? A magnitude of 1.
Right. So we basically, what it does is it does all kinds of advanced maths to take this and shrink it down over here until the addition of all of these comes to 1.
Why?
Okay, because now we know that the magnitude of that direction is a single distance, no matter what way it's pointing.
What?
The distance of 1.
Right.
So no matter what those other 2 numbers were, the distance that we got is a tiny little clock hand.
Okay.
Going in the direction we want.
Okay.
It's a very specific clock hand. It doesn't matter that this was like 19,005. Doesn't matter. Now we've got a tiny direction.
And it's always
on
the
what we
screen.
wanted. We wanted a direction to send this in. Right?
Okay.
So now we've got a specific direction. We don't want to send it 19,005 because that's going to send it a ridiculous amount of force. We want a tiny direction that we can multiply continuously and know what it's at. You know, like it's going to be a consistent value.
Okay.
Right? That's what normalizing does. It gives us a very specific direction out of a ridiculously large or small vector.
Okay. Interesting.
Right? If that was super tiny and we normalized it, it would pop it out to 1. So now, you got to stop thinking about this, the normalized thing that we've created by subtracting these 2. It's not about a point in space. It's about a direction from home towards destination.
So how do I get that that's a direction? Like, so this is how are we telling this to go in this direction?
Well, okay.
And also, okay.
So stop. One thing at a time. We got this value.
Right.
Very useful value because we know it's a
Or
direction
like
from 0.
0.5 by plus 5. Plus 0.5.
So we did this. We got that direction.
Okay.
And we send it. We return it back out here.
Okay.
So we're going to add a force to that asteroid in the correct direction.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Except we're not, because it's obviously not going the way we want it to.
But the error isn't in this. The error is here. But do you understand why you're getting that vector now? Did that make sense?
Yeah, I at least understand better
Okay.
than I did momentarily ago. That's not grammar. I can feel my brain just shutting down and being like, no, just give me cake. I don't want this. I don't want any of this. Alright, so okay. What happens? What order do these things happen in? Because I'm getting,
Left to right.
okay, so
But
this,
inside of parentheses as well. Left to right plus parentheses.
so this is happening when?
There's nothing happening
That
there. You
goes
just get a
into
value.
the what do, and then that's just
And
what
the
do
what do
equals
runs,
that.
yes.
All right, so
Well,
the
it
what
doesn't equal
do,
that. It equals the
yeah,
outcome of
yes,
the
it
return.
equals the outcome of this being put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So the what do goes through all of this. It gets normalized.
Mm-hmm. The output of that is correct.
The output of that is correct. We times it by 10f.
Right, that's good.
And we give it an impulse force.
Great.
Which is fine. So what's wrong with it?
Nothing else.
Yeah, cake is so totally awesome. I need more cake in my life. Asteroid Alive. It's a game object that we're creating that has a position in it, a rotation, and I'm adding relative force to the rigid body of the asteroid that's been created. Is anybody else watching this? Like, does this, let me know if you actually know what's going on. I'm assuming I'm not the only one who doesn't understand it, but it'd be nice to hear if people are picking up on what's going on. Because I know a bunch of you are actually experienced programmers, so you're just watching because bad people watch me suffer. Okay. Game object, asteroid alive. Instantiate, large asteroid, positiony stuff, transform rotation as game object. Asteroid alive, rigid body dot add relative force, which then does this stuff, which is fine. Sounds like it works. Oh, steam curation. Yeah, it's fun stuff. So, anything in the position here wrong? We have random ranges for those things. That all made sense. And that makes sense. And that makes sense. That's okay, Opbot.
Alright,
It's above my head too.
let's
So
step through it.
I might have to review my lessons.
What causes this to work and not work? Do you remember?
What do you mean?
Okay, when we started this, you made that
Right.
change, you put in the force impulse,
Mm-hmm.
and then it worked. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what did we change?
This? What do you mean then what did we change?
After we got it working and the asteroids are coming into the screen,
We changed how fast it was, how much force was being applied to it?
see,
I
you've
don't
got to
even
know
remember.
what the problem
I don't
is in
remember
order
what I
to
did
solve it.
afterwards.
You can't just look at it and go like, why isn't this working? You got to know exactly what's wrong, right?
But I don't know what's wrong. That's my problem.
No, you do. We went in here.
Okay.
We went to this spawn asteroid. It was working, and I changed this to 45. I rotated it. And then it stopped working.
Did we not, are we not sending things a rotation? What? That, should that even matter?
Don't flail wildly. Try to figure
Does that even matter though?
Obviously it does, doesn't it? I changed the rotation of the spawner.
Add relative force.
Why don't you walk through all of the things there?
It doesn't specify that you need to give it a rotation.
What doesn't specify that?
You can give it a float for the X, Y, and Z.
So yeah, add relative force doesn't take a rotation. That's correct. So where are you using the rotation of that object?
The rotation shouldn't even matter.
Well, it does. So where are you using it?
Nowhere.
Yes, you are.
The only place where I'm using it is when I'm creating the object.
Oh, okay. So you're taking the transform rotation of the other thing, which has a rotation of z45, and you're setting it to the asteroid to be rotated.
Yeah, but I don't want that to actually be the case. I was
Right,
talking
you're
to you
gonna
earlier
do-
that
yeah.
I wanted randomized.
Right, right. And this is me simulating randomizing it by setting it to 45 instead of 0, 0, 0.
Okay.
All right. So now,
So
when you
basically,
do
I don't
that,
have anything
so basically,
to.
if you randomly rotate this with this code here,
Whoa, big feather thing.
it won't work.
Right. Okay.
So why does the rotation of your asteroid matter?
Because that changes where it's gonna be moving, right? Because it changes it up.
Okay.
Right? But I'm not moving anything up.
You're not changing. I don't know what you're talking about. I said okay, but I don't have any idea what you're saying.
Well, in the shooting, there's an up. Oh, that's based off of a different object facing some way. So these are different.
Why don't you step through both of those lines of code and understand every single piece?
I thought I did,
Yeah,
sort of
okay.
at least.
All right, well, talk to me about what they do. Every single piece. Tell me.
Game object asteroid alive
What is that?
is calling and creating an asteroid alive game object.
Okay.
Which is equal to, which is this is what it does, it is instantiating itself as a large asteroid in this position, which is a random position.
Okay, that's all working.
Right? This works fine. And it is given the same rotation as its mother object, kind of, which is the object that is this non-existent invisible
Right.
spot here.
Okay. Yep. Then what happens?
And then it's made into a game object.
Uh-huh.
Boom, and then that game object, which is now referenced as Asteroid Alive, is pointed out to it, hey, you have a rigid body, and we want to add some force to it.
What kind of force?
Relative force, which relative to what? I don't know. It's just relative.
Relative? No. Go look up that. Go look that up. You don't know what it is.
It adds a force, and then you define all kinds of things with it.
No, read about it.
No. Adds a force relative to its coordinate system.
So, what coordinate system is that? What do you think those are? Do you know what coordinate system means? Or you just...
Yeah, but we're doing that to something, but we're getting the coordinates from here. We're not getting the coordinates from here.
Right.
We're getting these coordinates.
You're getting those coordinates, and then you're applying that direction relative to its coordinates.
Hey, Lyle, I'm not sure.
So why does that make the bullets work?
I don't flippin' know.
Hey, relax. Use your brain. You're smart.
I don't know. We have in the bullets, they're the object that you're shooting from. It has a direction that is always up for this. For the bullets, they're always going to shoot from a specific point.
And why does it make it so that whatever way that you've had the bullet pointed, it goes in?
Wait, that didn't make any grammar.
No matter what direction you turn the bullet, it always goes.
Because it's relative to the ship that it's connected to.
It's relative to the bullet.
Am I making this? Wait. No, but the bullet's coming out of the ship.
Right, and we're assigning it a rotation from the ship, aren't we?
Right.
Right, so it has a rotation. It has a coordinate system. And you're moving it relative to that coordinate system.
But I don't want to move this relative to that coordinate system.
Why are you moving it relative to the coordinate system?
You told me to.
Maybe I make mistakes.
So Lyle is right. It's add force and not add relative force.
Why don't you try that? Do you understand what's happened here?
Kind of.
Okay. You got to understand every single command that you send to the computer. If you don't, you're going to do something wrong somewhere.
It's just frustrating because I was trying to. I went and I changed the other one to add force, and you were like, "No, what are you doing?" And it would have broken that, but it's what I needed to do here. Ah, frustration.
But the problem is you didn't understand what you were calling, and that's your first thing. You can't call a function if you don't know what it is. You're gonna make a mess.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so that I'm gonna save, and we're gonna find out if that fixes the weird problem. It is of weirdness. Okay. Oh, wait. Stop. There's all these spheres in here.
Get rid of those.
Get rid of those.
They're very useful for explaining.
Also, just in case I've ruined everything, I'm going to save the scene and the project because I've seen Calvin do stuff before. Thanks for the tip, Lyle, by the way. How are you doing? It's good to see you back in my stream doing the things that I do. Yep, they're all coming in properly now. And if I shoot enough, oh my gosh, I've got horrible aim.
They're all coming properly.
If I shoot these enough, more should spawn.
Yeah, it'll take forever.
Oh my gosh, there's so many
I did it
things.
earlier, and it takes forever. And you're not very good at it. I was even pretty good at it.
I'm doing okay. I almost have a game though. This is pretty awesome. Okay, if I destroy these little guys without, oh crap, I made a new one. No. Alright, No, I hit. Oh my gosh, my stray bullets are ruining me. This is almost a game in and of itself.
So that works because I tested it earlier. So you can stop.
Okay.
Watch.
I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor.
I know. Do that off stream.
Oh, whatever. Fine. Okay, so that's.
So let's try to figure out how to get your random rotation you want.
Thanks, Lyle. So is that what needs to happen next? Is we're going to.
I think it's a good, simple little thing to do. Next.
Okay. That should be really easy. Actually, I want it to actually spin by itself.
Oh.
Slowly.
Do that then.
For some reason I feel like I should do it right in here, where it's spawned.
Sounds like a good idea.
I want to give it a new line that says the asteroid alive, rigid body, something. How would I make it spin? I make the helm of the ship itself spin when I press a key by using relative torque. But that's something that triggers. I wanted to just always do it. So that means I just don't put an if statement in there. I just say, hey, you. I think I can actually grab most of this code. Dot. Let me add relative torque. Force mode dot velocity change. What does that mean?
I don't know. Look it up.
Versus impulse. Force mode. Velocity change adds an instant velocity change to the rigid body, ignoring its mass. Do I want? Let's see. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. I'm being reckless. Crazy. Oh, they're spinning! Hey, Calvin, I made them spin, and I did not need your help. Look.
But they're all spinning exactly the same though. That's kind of lame.
But they're all spinning.
Yeah, well, good.
That's the start.
Good job. Make them spin at different rates.
Okay. Fine. Challenge accepted. Okay. So that means I need to, what exactly? I need to randomize which direction and the speed. I need to randomize this chunk here. Okay. Hey, Calvin,
Yeah.
I kind of understand what I need to do.
Do it then.
I know. I'm just reporting back to you because I'm excited. I don't need your help.
Good.
I got this. Never gonna need your help again. Okay. So I'm gonna need to create 2 new floats? Not necessarily. The new vector. Is it gonna be a float? Returning a number, right? Okay. Let's start by saying vector 3. What should I name it? Okay, so vector 3 is going to give me the kind of spatial command stuff. Well, what does it, whoa, didn't want to click on that. What does this do? Vector3 dot back. It's a direction of spin.
Is that how add relative torque works?
That
Oh, yeah.
is indeed, because I took that code directly from another thing that works. That's
Right.
how I know it works. So I need to create a new vector that can return either with back. I don't know why it's back.
Well, see, even that.
Hold on.
There's a really easy way to do this. You're gonna figure
forward.
it out. There's one way to do it.
What am I going to figure out? What's wrong?
Don't use dot back or dot forward.
Why not?
Because there's some deeper understanding you're going to get if you don't. And that is, you want to use a vector 3, but don't use back and forward.
All right, well, vector 3, what are my options?
No, you're not going to get in there at all.
What do you mean?
You don't want to do that.
Okay, Calvin, ready? I don't know what you're talking about.
So, do you know what back and forward are?
They are what make the ship spin in the other directions.
You don't know what they are.
Relative to where it's facing.
Look up what vector 3 back and forward.
Okay.
You don't know what they are.
Okay.
All right.
Shorthand for writing vector 3, 0, 0, minus 1.
Mm-hmm. You get it? Look up what forward is.
I'm assuming it's going to be 1.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like I'm going too fast. I feel like I'm losing people. Like people who don't know how to program. This is kind of throwing, because I feel pretty thrown into the fire.
Yeah, but they'll have the ability to pause things and stuff like that afterwards on the YouTube videos and go back and look at them. You're not doing.
This is for ambitious people who want to get results quickly as opposed to following boring courses forever and not making cool asteroid games. Basically. All right.
And you are taking some very big amounts of time to learn these things. This is not. You're not going quick.
I'm not?
No.
Okay. Feels like I'm going quick.
No, you're taking the time to understand. I think last time I pushed too much, and now I'm going to be pulling back on how much I know.
-1 versus +1. All right, so then that means that this vector 3 just needs to be one or the other of something. Hey, Zach. Yeah, that's exactly stream this. Exactly.
You understand why those numbers, that vector 3 is rotating?
I think so, yes. It's basically saying, hey, you want to go in this direction. 25 hours a day? What? Right? That's cheating. You can't do that. All right.
Do you know what the actual vector that you're ending up sending to add relative torque is?
The vector dot up or whatever it was. That I don't know what you mean. Basically, I'm sending it a -1.
There you go.
What?
When you were doing the up,
Back. Here's what it was.
back,
Yeah.
so that -1,
Mhm.
you're sending it this whole thing. What is that?
Do I actually need to even send it a vector, or can I just send it a number?
Well, did you look up add relative torque?
Yeah. Vector 3 number of some sort.
Sure.
So maybe, what if I just do this?
Hold on, don't just do things. I'm asking you questions and you don't know the answer to them. So listen, okay? I asked you a question.
Right.
When you're calling add relative torque,
Yeah.
you're sending two variables to it. One is this force more
Type
velocity
of force,
change.
yes.
And the other is this in here.
Right.
What is that?
That's the direction.
What is it? What is the direction?
The vector
What is the value?
is x of 0, y of 0, and whatever the other letter is, z, and a z of -1 times 2.
Right, it's -1 times 2. That's the key. So it's going to be -2.
-2. This is just to increase the force happening on a thing.
Right. So what does that do? What does that add relative torque do?
Don't eat that. It's not for eating, Hobbs. Oh. Let's find out. Hey, Spart. I'm braining. Getting there slowly. Add the torque to the rigid body relative to the rigid body's own coordinate system. The rigid body will start spinning around the torque axis.
Does any of that make any sense to you? Do you want me to explain it?
Add relative torque, float x, float y, float z, plus force mode.
So you could do it two ways. They're saying you can send it a vector or you can send it each axis.
If I only apply
Because
one axis, it always looks for all three. So if
yeah,
I only give
which
it
is
one,
why-
it would assume that that was the x. Is that how that would work?
no, it would error if you only give it one.
Okay.
Do you understand how this is working? Can I explain it?
I know. Okay.
Or do you know?
I know that. I'm pretty sure I get what a vector is.
Okay.
It's a spot in space, sort of.
It can be used as a spot in space. What a vector really is three floats, one with x, y, and z. And
Which
some
is
functions.
basically, this is replacing that. This is basically a vector by giving those three. Yeah, I get that.
Okay. So what this does is that an object's rotation, if you go to Unity, look at a transform, x, y, and z, those are the three axes, little
rotation.
bits that it can have, right?
Yeah.
And when you're putting a value over in z of that -2, it's taking that and spinning, putting a force of -2 to that spin.
Yes. What is a force of negative? Like, what is a force amount? Is it like, it's like a,
It's a
it's a
torque
bit.
amount of -2.
You're
Yeah, it
telling
is what
it,
it is. It's a force
yeah.
of -2.
You
And you
tap the
saw
gas
that,
twice while it spins.
right? And you saw that work, and you're making it
Right.
via. Oh, you're doing velocity change. Okay.
That's
So
what
you're
you.
setting it straight to velocity.
That's what you did with this.
Uh-huh. For reasons.
Right. Well, I grabbed this piece of code and I was going to look at it and figure out how to make it work for what I've got. Maybe that's not the right way to do it.
That doesn't matter right now.
Adding relative torque versus adding torque. Like,
That's fine right now.
I feel like that should be okay.
I'm trying to get you to understand what data you're sending to this and what that does, what this function does. And I think you got that now. So now think about randomizing the spin.
What I was going to do before was I was going to randomize the value of the vector and randomize the value of what it gets times by.
Okay. I don't think you need to do multiplication at all.
Hello? What do you mean?
I don't think you need to do multiplication at all.
I don't need to follow the same pattern?
Yeah, why are you multiplying? This is what I tried to get you down to, is that, it's like, what is the reason for that times 2?
The reason for that times 2 in my situation is that I can use that value to adjust the amount of spin in one direction or the other.
But it's because you're using that dot back, right? Which only has a value of 1. It's a
So I
vector.
could take a vector 3 and inside of it make a random range between -3 and +3, make it a float and have it send that number there, and that would be it. I hate how stupid, simple, straightforward this crap is.
Yeah, but it's not simple and straightforward until you understand all of the pieces.
Like, part of my brain was telling me that multiplication stuff had to happen. Like, that had to exist, because that's the only way I've used this. It's like the freaking... Calvin, you know that story about... That's like an example. It's like a stupid story of, like, this woman and her sisters always cut one end off of their pot roast and put it in the freezer. And when they're asked why, it's because their mother did that. And it turns out that it was because the mother's pan was too small. You know, like, it's that kind of a thing, though. You know, it's like you're doing this thing because that's how it's always been done, and you don't even realize that there might be a reason for it. Like, I thought that was part of the equation and it needed to be there.
Don't, from here on,
assume everything is
don't do anything unless you understand why you're doing it. Because otherwise you're not learning, you're just mirroring.
Right. So when I have this vector 3 here, this is actually going to be a different function. This vector, I'm going to name it something else.
What's the function?
Or actually, instead of saying vector here, can I just say random.range sort of a thing? Or do I need to make a new...
Look, okay, there's 2 ways that you, first of all, get rid of this. I don't know why
I was starting to make one.
Okay, I don't know why you were making it down there.
Because you gotta make them in the right spots.
You do. That's true. Go back to your add relative torque.
Yes.
Go back to in your little window over here.
Okay, you want me to... Okay.
There's 2 ways you can call it. You can send it a vector, and you can send it all the floats.
So you think I should send it all the floats, but make one of the floats a random float?
That sounds easy.
How do I know which is what?
Well, you've already spun it correctly once.
0, 0, and then sploop. So it's my new float, and then I make a float up top called float sploop, which equals random range from -4 to, why is the, I guess the negative doesn't change colors, that makes sense, okay, to 4. That's a good start.
And your stupid thing.
Oh,
Now,
I don't think I did do that.
let's walk through what this program's going to do.
Okay.
Your program starts up. This make asteroids game object starts up, right?
Oh my god.
It goes through, look,
It's like,
it goes,
oh, look at all these things
oh,
I have.
we're going to make these things. Oh, I know what those are. I got those assigned in the inspector. Oh,
Mhm.
time flies, it's a float. I'm going to hold on to that. Spawn cap, what is it? It's 6. Awesome. Sploop.
That's
a random range
7.
of
No,
7. Or yeah,
not
okay,
7.
okay,
It can't
of
be
like
7.
of 3. Great. I know what that is. 3, and it goes down through. It sets the camera to the main camera,
Right.
and then it starts updating. And then it goes, oh my God, there are enough asteroids, and it comes down through, and it makes the first one, and it gives it a spin of what? 3.
Bloop, 3, right.
And then it goes and updates again, and it goes through, and it goes, oh my God, I'm gonna make an asteroid, and it gives it a swoop of.
Oh, it's gonna give it a sploop of 3 again, isn't it?
Why did you put random range up there?
Because that's where you put things to keep them organized.
Why does sploop have to even be a global thing? Why didn't you just put random range inside of the add relative torque thing?
Because I was gonna use the same function for the other 3. The
Well,
other 2 asteroids.
you don't want that though, do you? Because then they all have the same rotation.
So you're saying that it should just equal a random range, and that's okay to put in here, just like that?
I don't know what you did. Oh, that looks perfect.
That's okay?
Yeah.
It's not a
It's
number or a float. It returns a float.
It's a function.
It returns a thing, not I also have to wrap my head around the idea that it's not necessarily the thing that I'm writing that the code is going to even look at in the end. I'm still returning a number. That's still a number as far as the code is concerned, right? Basically.
Yeah, it knows exactly what you're doing. It knows that that's a float. Otherwise, it could give you an error.
Right. Okay, so I should, for all intents and purposes, be able to take this entire lump of code, like this entire lump of code that is in here to make the large asteroid, and change that one word into a masteroid or sasteroid.
Yeah, since you set those up.
And that should work perfectly.
Sounds right.
I'm going to put them in and let's see what happens. This will be Flurp, Masteroid. And this will be a Sasteroid. Oh boy. Okay, saving this, and let's see what happens. Oh boy. I'm scared. Okay. We've got a Masteroid, 2 Lasteroids, another Masteroid. Oh, it's awesome. Can't hit them. Nope, don't hit them. All right, you know what? I think I can delete these. I don't think I need these up here anymore.
Cool.
Right? I already have them as prefabs, so I won't lose anything.
Why don't you do this? Disable them.
How do
you can
you
reference them and mess with them later?
How do you just disable them?
There's a little checkbox in the inspector on the top.
This?
Yeah. Do that.
Okay.
It's still there, but it's hidden, so it won't get in the way. And that way, if you need to edit it, you can go back in there again and mess with it.
So it's easy access, basically.
I do that with a lot of stuff.
Okay, interesting. That sounds kind of like it'll be messy, but it's also...
It'll be alright.
Oh, and these show that, hey, there's one of these somewhere inside the Hierarchy. Is that what these little arrows mean?
That means it has stuff inside it.
But this also should have stuff inside it,
It
doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It's your smaller.
Oh, okay.
That's your
Oh.
Do you remember?
Oh. Thanks for the story, Smart. I love it. It is a beautiful story. All right, we're getting there. This is almost a game. Look, here's my ship. Oh my, what's going on? Holy cow, that one's really spinning. So is that one. Maybe that's a little too much spin for an asteroid.
But they're all different.
But they're all, those two are kind of spinning almost the same. But yeah, they're all spinning at different speeds. That one doesn't, those aren't, what did I do?
I don't know. What did you do?
What did I do? Is it because they're spinning so fast it's making it hard for them to go in one direction?
No, I don't think so. I'm guessing it has to do with the mass.
All right.
Look at these down here. Don't look at those. Just because this is what it's.
Asteroid, mass of 90. Asteroid, mass of 9. Why is
And then this one.
this asteroid is a mass of 80? What happened?
You changed the
Wait,
values.
okay.
Or you didn't apply them. So just
well,
change them here.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I applied the mass so that my bullets wouldn't push them away. Right?
I don't know what to tell you. Just edit the values where you want them.
Okay.
Sorry, I mean they're not set. Whether it didn't save or what, you know.
Okay, that's interesting. Calvin?
Yes.
As soon as they reach where the screen is, they slow down like crazy.
Alex.
Yeah.
We talked about this. This is where the episode started. You remember?
Right.
Do you remember
Well,
why?
what?
Do you remember what I said?
No, apparently I don't.
It was an illusion.
That's an illusion.
Yeah. So, why I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on because we already did this once, and now I'm going to do it again. This blinking back and forth, where they're coming in, the blinking is caused by something very specific. Remember how I said, even though it's spawning out over here, they're forcing into the screen? Even though it flips back over here, it's still moving into the screen, even though they're coming. And that doesn't make any sense, right? Because if it's spawned here and it's coming down this way,
oh, so this is
should
the
keep moving
thing that I
that way,
haven't
right?
fixed yet.
Yeah, and you don't need to fix it because it's not a real bug. Because this won't be displayed. It'll be like this. And now it's going to work perfectly fine. They're coming. See? They all came into the screen. And it's great. And it worked good. The reason that's happening is because in your beam me up code, when you transfer things back and forth across the screen, you add a little bit and subtract a little bit. So each time they work, they get a little closer to the screen.
Oh. Oh, okay. Sure. All right, that makes sense. You're right. Okay.
But now they're not warping anymore, so you're all set.
Right. What's next then? I've got my asteroids spawning. All right, here's my ship. What?
They spin. You got them right in the spin.
They spin. I might want to tweak that a little bit eventually. Might also want to tweak the mass that is being applied to everything. So there's a lot of like balancey sort of things that have not been even touched yet.
But what other functionality did you want to add?
Well, so far the ship is invincible, but I kind of don't want to touch that until I'm ready.
Okay.
Because it's going to make testing really hard.
All right.
Right?
Well, you can give it like a lot of
things, I need gas.
All right.
That might be the next thing.
Yeah, well, I think you should work on that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, cool.